joining us now to talk through this complicated time that we're in education. Pleased to be joined by Dr. Tina Kerr. She is the Executive Director of the Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators, with us on the Oakland County MegaCast. Dr. Kerr, thank you for being with us again today.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate having you on. So the last time we had you on, it was quite literally your very first day, just your first few hours on the job at the Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators. You've had a few weeks on the job now. Still, I mean, what a time to come in and begin that job. It's definitely been a busy few weeks. How are you holding up? How are things going at MASA?
Well, they're going well. I think I have a few more gray hairs than when I started a couple weeks ago, but I am proud of the work that's happening across the state to get our school districts ready to restart with face-to-face or potentially online. But everyone's working really hard, and we're doing the best we can to ensure the safety of our children.
Yeah, the safety of the kids has to be paramount as we're returning to school in the fall. It's been really good to see a lot of school districts, ones that we've talked to and others that we've read about as time's gone on, that are providing options to families as well. They're going and saying, well, we're going to have a hybrid situation. We'll have some days the kids will be in school, and one day a week or a couple days a week they'll be online. Others have been completely online, but then many school districts have also provided the option to parents and families to say, if you are more comfortable having your kid in school because you can't provide childcare and you're not going to be home, you have to go to work, or you're more comfortable having your kid learn entirely online because you want to take extra precautions. Maybe you live in a home with someone that's immunosuppressed or in a high-risk group, that they're providing those options from your administration, from your organization's point of view. How are you encouraging that kind of flexibility with these school districts as they're preparing for a really complicated fall semester?
Well, absolutely. And that's what we've been working with our superintendents and district leaders across the state. Obviously, too, one of the things they have to keep in mind is this is a very regionalized based issue. So our friends up in the UP, for the most part, have been talking predominantly face-to-face instruction simply because of what the science is telling them. As we move to different areas of the state, the science changes and the districts have to make those adjustments. But the most important thing, again, is bringing kids back safely. However, we do know we have to, I guess, increase our game this fall to ensure that we do not have any instructional loss moving forward. And that's a big challenge in this environment for sure.
With so many teachers concerned about going back into the classroom, how worried should districts be about losing educators, and will you even have enough teachers?
That's the $10 million question right now. And I do think for the most part, our districts have always had very collaborative relationships with their unions and certainly with our teachers across the state. There are concerns on their part to re-enter into those environments, specifically based on if they have any issues that they need to be aware of. However, with the level of safety precautions that districts are discussing, we truly believe that we will be able to return to our environments safely, thanks to all the hard work that's gone in creating these preparation plans for reentry.
Obviously, the focus is going to be on providing the best possible education to the kids of these school districts. That has to be paramount. You have to always be erring on the side of the child when you're thinking about providing education in any situation, and especially in a time of crisis like we're in. But from the teacher's perspective, understanding their concerns as well, and going back to the point about flexibility being provided for these families, are there any discussions within your organization or between administrators and superintendents in the state about the potential for a middle ground with these frustrated or these concerned teachers, and maybe providing flexibility there for some to teach entirely remotely if they are uncomfortable returning themselves to the schools in the fall due to family reasons, health reasons, whatever the case may be?
Oh, absolutely. Districts are already doing that. As they've been working on their preparation plans, each district is a case by case. They have to review it individually. What are their needs? What does their certified staff look like? And, we can expand that too to transportation, food service. There are a lot of areas that we have to pay attention to. If we aren't able to bring our staff back safely and feel confident about that, districts, no, we will not bring kids back. So they're really doing a lot of legwork right now to ensure that they have the appropriate safety procedures in place. They're working with their local health departments to ensure that they can reopen again safely for both staff and students moving forward. So the models look very different. We just completed a survey at MASA and just released those results on Monday. And it was all over the board. We had several that had already made the commitment to online learning to start the school year, which is predominantly happening, I know, in Ingham County and around different areas of the state. And then we had others that are strictly looking at the hybrid model or the face-to-face. Hybrid seems to be a little less, fewer districts are using that model. Most of them are either going completely online or they're planning to re-enter face-to-face. But you mentioned earlier, if a parent has a concern, whether it be for health reasons of their child or a family member, then districts are accommodating to ensure that they still receive a high quality education if it has to be virtual in those cases.
We are in not only a health crisis, but also a budget crisis. How are some of these districts even dealing with these issues when they don't even know what their budget's going to be?
Well, we were very fortunate that the 1920 budget did not have the significant hits that we thought it would. We are still very much working to push for federal support because we're not going to be able to cut our way out of this budget crisis. And districts know that. Now, obviously, districts are feeling some pain from the standpoint they're purchasing PPE, but we do have the CARES money that they can start drawing down on. Those applications have been coming out, so districts more and more are starting to make sure that they can get that assistance to help ensure that they have the appropriate PPE for a restart. So the budget is looming and scary, but we're doing everything we can at the association levels to ensure that we get some support for districts.
Dr. Tina Kerr with us. She is the executive director of the Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators with us on the Oakland County MegaCast. Dr. Kerr, on that note, with the budgetary issues being what they are and school districts already preparing to shoulder the burden of potential cuts in the 20 and 21 school year, we're still facing an issue financially, and it's a financial issue, it's a social issue, and it's an educational issue of providing the necessary technologies and means to access those technologies for our students if they're going to be learning entirely virtual in the fall, if they're going to be learning in a hybrid situation in the fall, whatever the case may be. At this current point in time that we're in, given that the 1920 budget cuts were not as severe as initially anticipated, but still with the caution of the 2020-2021 budget potentially facing significant cuts, are school districts at a point where they're able to provide the resources necessary to students who maybe are not in a situation where they have access to the internet or access to devices to be able to properly learn in the fall regardless of what the situation is with COVID-19?
I feel districts are doing an exceptional job of trying to ensure that we close this equity gap that we knew always existed, but obviously was amplified during a pandemic. The one thing that I will mention is some of those things are out of their control, which has to do with access. The good news is, Michigan has always had people step up, and we have amazing partners across the state. I'll mention right now, Detroit Public TV has been working since March to coordinate with other PBS stations of this idea of a fifth channel. We may not be able to get the internet access, but if we can run scheduled lessons with a certified teacher via PBS, then that will help us close the equity gap. It's partners like that that continue to step up and try and come up with solutions to ensure that once this is over, that our students don't suffer because of it. So we're going to continue to rely on those partnerships and support that work moving forward as a state.
Dr. Tina Kerr with us. She is the executive director of the Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators with us on the Oakland County MegaCast as we are approaching a very complicated school year upcoming, and a lot of variables that are at play as we prepare to bring our students back to schools in the fall. Dr. Kerr, earlier this summer, just a couple weeks ago, the Detroit Public School District was required to test all 600 plus, nearly 700 students in their summer school programs before they were allowed to continue with those summer school programs. That was a court-ordered rule. Are there any concerns with the school districts, with your superintendents and administrators, that testing requirements may be in place for kids this coming fall, or are they encouraging testing requirements to be in place for this upcoming fall, and how those may present challenges to these school districts?
Well, sure. I mean, those conversations have been happening. Districts, we've looked to our legal counsel, as they do, and ensure that we're acting appropriately when it comes to student testing or staff testing. But I do feel that our districts have been very flexible and very agile during this process, because it changes daily. They may come into the start of school saying, we're going to use this procedure to ensure safety, and then they have to kind of reboot and readjust based on what's going on at that particular time. Certainly, this is all part of their planning process to have these discussions with their health departments. We are looking for support statewide. We've got our various groups that are trying to give more important guidelines of how to handle situations that may arise, and certainly how to handle student testing if that's where we end up having to be.
Is there a concern that this pandemic may lead to more and more kids leaving the public school system?
Of course, that's a big concern. I have worked again very hard with external groups. Public education has always been there and always done the good work to support students moving forward. I guess my plea now to families across the state is, have confidence in your districts. They are doing everything they can to ensure your students' safety, but more importantly, they're working tremendously hard to ensure a high quality education. We have some of the best teachers and leaders across the state, and they're ready to continue to do their good work, but we just need that opportunity for parents to have that confidence and to be patient with districts as they try and navigate these unprecedented times. That's our reality.
Dr. Kerr, just a couple more minutes with you before we'll have to let you go. As we continue to inch closer and closer to the fall semester beginning in our schools across the state of Michigan, what are the 3 key points that your organization is really pushing to our local and statewide superintendents and administrators as they continue to prepare and continue to ready themselves for whatever variables may be at play as we enter this school year?
Only 3. Well, for sure, obviously funding. We know we have to have federal support to support our districts moving forward to continue their good work. The other thing that our organization has really been working on and focusing on is providing guidance. Districts have a lot of questions. We continuously run webinars and bring in elected officials and a variety of experts to give them the appropriate guidance they need so that they can be successful in these reopening plans or in these preparation plans. And then the third, I think, is just being advocates for public education. We continue to try and ensure that our families understand that while this is a challenge, it is an opportunity for us to self-reflect and to continue to be a great organization as far as a district, but more importantly, to continue to provide high quality services to kids. Michigan's success is dependent on the success of the public education system, and we will continue to be advocates and support our leaders moving forward with that as well.
What's the one positive thing you think came out of this or will come out of this?
I think I'd have to mention 2. Number 1, I think it really has shone a very bright light on the inequities that exist across the state. While most may think of that as a negative, I feel that's our opportunity. We knew that inequities existed and there were equity issues, but not to this magnitude do I think that there has been an urgency to address these. So I do believe that is the positive that has come out, is that now we know we have to be vigilant in moving forward of ensuring that we have equitable access for all kids across Michigan and work to ensure that for them. The other opportunity, I think this has really brought all of us together in a very collaborative effort. We're seeing more collaborations that typically didn't happen between business community, education. We've got fantastic work happening across the state as we all pull together to ensure, because this is about the kids, and the adults have to do their part to ensure that students continue to have a safe and an exceptional learning experience. And so I think those two things would be my top two, but certainly we need to address our equity problems that exist across the state.
Dr. Kerr, anything else for us today before we let you go?
I'll just give one more plea. Please be patient with our districts as they continue to work very hard for their students and for their families. We need to continue to give them that space that they need to craft these plans and begin to implement them. And I have no doubt they're going to do what's right and what's safe for our students.
Dr. Kerr, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate having you on. Dr. Tina Kerr, she is the Executive Director of the Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators, with us on the Oakland County MegaCast.